Yeah, I'll start. Hey, Matt. We saw yesterday and maybe today too, Sean Ryan kind of talking into the walkie-talkie. Is that sort of a function of bringing him up to speed with the offense, or what? What are those? What's that process?
No, that's the NFL's coach to quarterback system. That's how they hear the play in their headset. So like at a typical practice, Joe would call the play to the quarterbacks via that, and then Al usually calls the defense via that. So here, the plays are scripted. So Sean calls the plays off the practice script to the quarterback, and then Al Holcomb calls the defensive plays to the middle linebacker.
I don't see any other hands up. Do you guys have any more questions for Coach?
I'd be curious, are you sort of teaching Sean the offense as you go along, or is that something that'll be for another day?
No, I mean, Joe had scripted most of it already, so I think he, kind of got up to speed ahead of time. And then we have Matt Lombardi, who's assistant quarterback coach, was in the room all years, who was able to, get with him as well. So, I think from the time we first, it wasn't maybe official hiring, but he knew he was coming. I think him and Joe were kind of working together to make sure he was up to speed in terms of what we needed.
Let's go to Vincent Richardson for the next question.
Hi, Matt. You talked a lot during the season about wanting your coaches to be adaptable around the skill sets of different players. Obviously, this week with a whole load of new players to work with in only a few days, are you able to take that approach still, or if not, how is there a balance between trying to be flexible around the players you have?
Yeah, no, I think this week it would just be a traditional NFL install one offense. I bet you if I put on the Dolphins players, they're probably Dolphins offense are probably running wide zone and maybe some different passing concepts, but it's pretty much like an install 1 and 2 for us. Just a lot of plays, but the basics. We're running 4 or 5 run concepts, a couple play action concepts, and a lot of drop back. So not really able to tailor it. And there's some rules in terms of what you're allowed to do. So not seeing a ton of different defense. So just pretty basic in terms of installing the offense and then letting the guys kind of take it from there.
And is that the same when it comes to sort of working on technique stuff in sort of the individual drills and sort of more focused practices?
Individually, I think just trying to get the guys, to understand how we're asking them to do things, and then just coaching them. We do a lot of one-on-ones in this so that you can evaluate players. And I think, the guys are probably coaching off the one-on-ones a lot just to help, accelerate some of their techniques. And some of the techniques that we do are different than what they've done for the last 4 years in college. And so some guys probably are doing a little bit more of what they know, and that's fine. We really want them to be able to just get evaluated for their skill set.
Let's go to David Newton, followed by Josh Klein.
Hey, Matt, a couple things here. One, you said earlier today and yesterday too that you're going to coach this team just like you did Carolina, Baylor, and Temple. I guess we saw that today when you stopped practice to kind of remind him. Was intensity down, or what were you looking for there?
I'm trying to think of when I did that. I think I just pulled him up once or twice today. I can't remember.
There's about a half hour left in practice.
Yeah. I think before 9-on-7, I pulled them up. I just wanted to remind them, be coachable. Just saying yes sir doesn't mean you're coachable. Listen, great players consistently want to be coached, and actually the more coachable you are, the more we have to then work, because we know that you're going to ask us for help. So just trying to push that, just trying to push that mindset, that identity of, don't go there and just if you make a mistake, say, yeah, I got it. Try to learn, try to improve. But that's one of the number one things you can do to be a good player. So I'm also taking this week and just, I have a couple points I'm trying to hit about what I think it takes to be a good player, hoping that guys will take 1 or 2 things away from it.
And you also mentioned you thought some players would step up today after being with you guys for a practice, and it looked like Mac Jones did that. That one pass he had to the tight end, great catch by him, but touch that Mac put on. What did you see out of Mac that was different today than yesterday?
I think all the guys got better from yesterday to today. I think the quarterbacks really had more chances to throw it today. We threw it more today, and then there was better protection today. Like yesterday was a little bit of a scramble drill at times. But, you think you see about Mac right off the bat, he's a gamer. He's got a great presence about him. He loves the moment, loves the competition. So there's not much doubt that he has sort of that swag, that quarterback swagger that, you can feel when you're on the field.
Thank you.
And Matt, I had a question about guys that play multiple positions and might be viewed differently in the NFL versus where they played in college. How do you weigh that stuff? And where did you come in this week with those decisions? And then I had a question about somebody specific too.
Yeah. So, they handed us a list of guys they had already had conversations with about their position flexibility. Like, hey, I understand I'm a defensive end, but I also will play some 3 technique, So, it's my take on it is we're never going to make someone do something they don't want to do. So we say, hey, you should do this. I referenced Jeremy Chin last year. He kind of played everywhere in this game, and it led to him playing everywhere. Especially defensively, we're always looking for chess piece type guys you can move around. But that's always something that the player has to be up for. And then as you go through the course of the week, guys get banged up. You do have to kind of move guys around a little bit. So we want guys to play the positions they played all year because they're comfortable there. But at the same time, we will suggest to somebody, hey, like, I know you're a corner, but you'll probably end up playing safety, or, hey, let's play some nickel. So we've done that to a good amount, both the players that they mentioned to us ahead of time, and then as we've looked at guys, saying, hey, you should take some reps here as well.
You mentioned defensive end and 3 tech. Is Chauncey Golston somebody that kind of falls into that category? And what have you been seeing from him over the past couple of days?
Yeah, he's athletic, he's big, he's long. And really, a lot of those guys, there's a lot of guys like that are kind of like, they're defensive ends who can go they're like 3-4 defensive ends. They can now slide inside and be the 3 technique, be the sub 3, sort of the way we used FA this year, as a run down defensive end and pass down sub 3 technique. So I think there's a lot of guys like that. Again, one of the unique things this year is a lot of these guys didn't have an off season last year. They didn't have weightlifting and all those things. So some guys you might take at 268, 282, and they might all of a sudden be 295, with a true off season. So part of the evaluation process for us, I think, is seeing their frame, seeing their body. What do we think they can be in a year or two with some development, kind of like what we did with Vitor last year.
Let's go to Elena Getzenberg, followed by Joe Person.
Hey, Matt, I was curious. I saw Dave was at practice today. Are you guys meeting with him at all, or is he just there visiting?
No, I think he flew in and flew back out. Just came down to support the squad. Showed up at practice, and then told us he was taking off after that.
Nice to have him out there.
Yeah, it was great. I think when you have that level of support, I think it's important. You now know that from the top down that everyone's all in on us being a part of this game and us being a great organization.
And then I was curious, you had talked about how important it was going to be that you could meet with the scouting, that everyone was in one place and you can all meet together, the coaching staff and the scouts. How has that gone so far? I know it's kind of early in the week, but do you feel like it's been productive from that aspect up to today?
Yeah, I think because of some of the COVID restrictions, like most of our scouts at night are doing the interviews from 7 to 11 p.m. And the coaches, we meet from 7 to 10, 10:30, 11, depending how late we go watching the film. But we've been able, we've had Scott Fitterer in there. We've had Pat Stewart in there. We just haven't had a meeting yet. Though we did the first day. We haven't had a meeting with everybody because we're trying to get so much work done. But Friday, Thursday, Friday, we will we'll come together. So, and I think some of those guys have been able to sit in some of our meetings in the morning when we meet with the players. I think that's invaluable for them to watch the players get coached. For them to hear what we're saying. So we've gotten it done. It's just we're trying to cover a lot of ground this week. I think everyone here is working really, really hard.
I guess just one question off that. How do you, I know your priority, you mentioned is coaching and getting these guys ready to play, but how do you kind of, how do you put that all in one day, making sure you're taking advantage of this week and not it seems overwhelming, trying to get all that stuff done.
Yeah, well, my first priority, when I've listed the priority, my first priority has always been to evaluate. So it's to evaluate, and then it's to help, to coach the players and help the players. I think the best way that I can evaluate is just to coach the guys. Like, I get a way different feeling standing there in team and feeling the D-line rush, because that's why I stand in practice. So I feel it in practice. So now I get to feel who feels similar to the guys we have. You stand next to the quarterbacks and you feel the ball come out. You stand next to the receivers and you feel them come off the line of scrimmage. So I think, and then to be quite honest with you, challenging players, coaching players, telling players to do it again, seeing who gets sad, who gets, aggressive and wants to do it again. Those things are really important to me as well, because, we have a certain brain type of football player we want. And so, seeing who can be that is really cool too. So I think just, for me, the film at night's really good to go back and truly evaluate, but I do love being on the field with the guys, because, 4 weeks ago we were on the field, practice field. Now I'm on the practice field. Who could join our team right now, and who's a little bit away from that is really what I'm looking at.
I know you can't answer this like with specific names or anything like that, but are you seeing guys who you're like, oh, I could see you as a Panther and like that sort of thing?
Oh yeah, there's lots of players here that, really good players that, would be a great addition for us. There's no doubt. Yeah, no doubt.
In that, kind of along those same lines, I think in past years, as I understand, the coaching staff kind of flip-flopped for a day, so you kind of got a look at your team's roster and some exposure to those guys. Is that something you and the Dolphins have talked about? And is that something that might happen?
Yeah, so that's built in by the Senior Bowl. That'll be Friday, I think, and I think it's just for meetings. So what exactly that'll entail, I haven't really gotten to that yet. I'm just kind of working my way through the days, but we'll do that. And this is a really unique year because there's no one here in the lobbies and stuff. So like, I'll walk out in the lobby and see 10 players sitting around. I'll walk in. There's a recovery room, stretch room. I'll walk in there. I see the guys around. So whereas in past years they're getting pulled in a lot of different directions, I've had a ton of opportunities to visit with and talk to those guys as well. So it's not the same as coaching them, but I am getting a really good chance to talk to a lot of those guys. So I feel like we'll leave here knowing, the both teams, and the total amounts of guys pretty well.
Do you have any input when the Nagy was putting the teams together as to a couple guys you wanted to kind of look at your specific?
Not really. I mean, when he's putting the team together, no. Yeah, not really. I mean, most of those invites went out pretty early. I mean, and he might have talked. He and Scott know each other, so if a guy pulled out or whatever, he might have talked to Scott about, hey, who's on your board of this? But I haven't been involved in those things.
Let's go to Steven Toronto.
Hey, Coach, ESPN had you mic'd up for some of what you told your players before, I think it was 9-on-7s, and well, it sounded pretty Parcells-esque. I was also struck by how clean it was language-wise. When you're trying to get players to step it up, how do you balance speaking forcefully to them with keeping your language clean and staying disciplined in that regard?
I knew my mom would be watching the mic'd up.
Makes sense.
No, I mean, I'm a person that, wants to not have bad language. And sometimes when I'm in the field, I let some cuss words slip. It's been a weakness of mine at times, but I certainly try not to go off on tirades and demean people and things like that. I'm not always perfect, but I try not to speak out of anger. I mean, that's just, again, I'm trying to, when I pull the team up like that, I'm not like reaming them out. I'm trying to give them something that makes sense to them, right? Like, hey, you've got 22 minutes left in practice. Like, get your energy up. It's really hard for these guys because like a lot of these guys have been training, like working on their 40 and going through cones, and all of a sudden they got pads on for 2 hours practicing with us. So just trying to give them something they can hold on to. But I try not to be like an overly emotional person like that. I just try to give them something that they can take with them and go from there. But I did know my mom was going to watch it. It was mic'd up. So.